All right, girlies. So let's talk a little bit about the writing part of the test, which is also syntax. And the best way to prepare for this will be to do a couple of things. On the haiku page devoted to the writing and syntax section, I have several things. A little YouTube video that has some good writing section strategies. She's worth listening to, and not too goofy. I have the link again to the College Board review site for the writing section, which is improving sentences, improving paragraphs, identifying sentence errors. And on the SAT, that will also include the essay, but you don't have to worry about that on the PSAT. Over here on the right-hand side, I also have Mrs. Mansberg's syntax packet. You will want to download these and read all of them. She designed the packet for PSAT prep, so that is your best bet. Now there are some key things that I want you to think about. First of all of the grammar and writing rules they test are the same. They're always the same. So you need to work a couple of tests and you need to figure out what kinds of questions you always miss. Okay, so sorry for the interruption there. Like any of the other tests, once you know what kinds of questions that you're missing, you can then go back and review those grammar rules and Mrs. Mansberg's syntax packet and not miss those questions anymore. But the key is spending the time figuring out what kinds of questions you're missing. There are several rules right off the bat that you can just review and not miss anymore. And those would be questions about run-on sentences and comma splices and using commas. What you need to do on that is review your comma rules. Here's a website that you can go to. This is write, W-R-I-T-E, fix.com, writefix.com, and then it's under argument and under fragments. But I wanted to review a couple of these things with you. First of all, they love to ask questions about these. Fragments are incomplete sentences. They're usually missing a subject or a verb, or one of the other, or both. You can see the examples here. We have a tendency, especially when we're reading quickly, to insert what we know is a subject or a verb, even if it's not really there. So you really have to be careful and make sure in every sentence that you're looking at that you can identify both a subject and a verb. If you can't, it is a fragment. Comma splices are sentences that should be separate but are joined with a comma, right? These are run-on sentences. And then a comma splice is just a run-on that's created because of a comma. So what you have to do, y'all, is you have to count your independent clauses. An independent clause has a subject and a verb and can stand alone, right? And if two of them are separated with a comma, there must also be a conjunction there. You can also separate independent clauses with a semicolon or a semicolon conjunctive adverb comma. But you cannot join two independent clauses with just a comma or with no punctuation. So count your independent clauses, mark it in your book if you have to, and make sure you don't have any comma splices or run-ons. They love to ask those questions too. All right, those are some key ones. Look at the examples here and make sure that you understand how to do that. This is a grammar rules packet that I found on Google Docs. It's an open Google Docs. If you search for MTP grammar rules packet in Google, this should come right on up. You can download it or you can look at it in Google Docs. And this has lots of good information. The information also corresponds with the official guide to the new SAT by the College Board, which is the book that you are using to do your practice. So these page numbers and question numbers should match up for you. If you're interested in looking at the kinds of questions in your tests that have to do with these rules. Another big grammar rule, in addition to run-ons and commas and fragments, would be agreement questions. Subject-verb agreement. You have to make sure that your subjects and verbs agree. They will often be broken up by big phrases, prepositional phrases, and other kinds of phrases, and so you really have to make sure, or in clauses, and you really have to make sure that you can see your phrases in your clauses and then identify the subjects and the verbs on either side of those phrases and clauses. take a minute and look at some of these samples and look at the samples in your book so that you can see that. Pronoun and antecedent agreement errors. We've talked about this in class, but this is another biggie that the College Board loves. Here are some page numbers and questions that show you those kinds of questions, but you need to learn your your pronoun antecedent agreement rules. Remember those rules that are always singular. Parallel sentence structures and other kinds of questions they like to ask you, so please review the rules here. You can scroll through these tense rules, comparison rules, diction errors, proper number agreement errors, pronouns, so on and so forth. And then I thought this was really nice. Words that go together. Sometimes we have a tendency to misuse these words. All right, so this is another great review. Once you figure out what kinds of questions you miss, ask for the rules. Look up the rules. Figure out what you miss. Figure out how to not miss it anymore. That is the key on the writing section of the test. So let's get started. We're going to do writing sections from test 5 first. Then the next night we'll do test 6. Then we'll chart our errors and see what we're missing. Review the rules on those and do test 7, applying those strategies and see if we can make some serious improvements. Good luck. I'm really proud of all your hard work on this PSAT stuff.